People who had to evacuate their houses near the Fukushima nuclear plant have been waiting for the day when they can return home. Some of them may now have to wait longer. An NHK survey shows that workers have succeeded in cleaning less than 5% of the designated area. Even after that work is completed, radiation levels in many places have not fallen to the government standard. The town of Hirono lies 30 kilometers south of the plant. Workers have almost finished cleaning up residential areas. The government's safe limit for radiation is 0.23 microsieverts per hour.
It's 0.39.
The radiation level is not falling.
Residents are calling for another round of decontamination work.
The radiation must drop to a level that we feel safe to live with. Otherwise, we can never rebuild this area.
The workers are washing down roads and roofs and scraping off the topsoil in gardens. But town officials say it's difficult to remove radioactive substances from tiny gaps. The work is demanding and it takes a lot of time. In winter, the task is hampered by heavy snow. Workers are also having problems finding places to temporarily store the contaminated soil. One expert suggests it's time to review the cleanup plan.
Radiation levels over the long term are expected to drop below the standard only in some of the areas. In the high-level areas, officials should allow the residents the option of moving out.
Officials in the central government say they will re-examine the decontamination plan later this year. Municipal officials in northeastern Japan are hoping some new technology will give people peace of mind. They're using it in communities surrounding the damaged nuclear plant in Fukushima. They believe the device will provide reliable information on the levels of radiation in areas that have been decontaminated.
These workers are looking for a danger that cannot be seen or felt until it's too late. They are using a device called a gamma camera. It detects the source of radioactivity and then displays it as a visual image. Objects emitting radiation are shown in red. The readings are being taken in Kawauchi village. The village lies within the 30-kilometer evacuation zone set up around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. In some areas, radiation levels are still too high for people to live. Work to clean up radioactive contamination started in November 2011. Decontamination of residential areas finished in March. Village officials hoped that would encourage former residents to return, but less than half have done so. Radiation fears are still running high.
We ask each other if radiation levels in Kawauchi are really safe, but I guess all we can do is believe what the village says.
To assure residents, reliable information on decontaminated areas is crucial. Usually, that data is collected with a Geiger counter. This device measures radiation coming from all directions. It gives a reading for the immediate vicinity, but it cannot tell you where the radiation is coming from. The gamma camera has overcome this shortcoming. The camera only reads radiation coming from the direction it is facing. The camera's field of view is 43 degrees. This means it can measure an area 8 meters high and 8 meters wide from a distance of 10 meters. It usually takes about 20 minutes to produce an image, but if radiation levels are high, the results will appear sooner. The gamma camera can detect the exact source and strength of radiation. It superimposes these data on a video image to clearly show where radioactive materials exist. The deeper the color red, the higher the radiation. Gamma cameras are already used for medical and other purposes, but these devices only function in a tiny range, spotting tumors in the brain, for example. Decontamination workers were looking for a device with a wider spectrum, something that could detect pockets of radiation in the field. This is the sensor module used in the gamma camera introduced in Fukushima. The 5-centimeter cube assures higher resolution than conventional medical scanners. It is also smaller and lighter, making it more portable. The developer saw a way to use it in Fukushima, but he had to work on a tight deadline.
We wanted to make the new gamma camera as quickly as possible. The time constraint was the toughest condition we faced in developing the device.
Workers used this camera to check this house after decontamination. They found a number of radiation sources in the backyard and other places.
You can see some radioactive materials are left. Radiation levels are higher in the back of the house. The levels will go down even more when the hill is decontaminated. Some spots in the field also need to be cleaned.
Now I can tell where radiation sources are because they showed it to me in color. It's great because usually you can't see radiation.
I think the gamma camera will be an effective tool to promote the village's decontamination and to convince the residents that the village is safe to return.
Kawauchi village plans to use the gamma camera in areas where decontamination work is already finished. The work will continue through November, mainly in residential areas. Village officials will then ask the central government to do further cleanup in places where radiation levels are still high.
Japanese and American scientists are sailing off the coast of Fukushima in Japan and studying the sea. They are checking whether radioactive material from the nuclear disaster 2 years ago is still affecting the ocean. NHK World's Yoichiro Tateiwa reports from on board the research vessel Umitakamaru.
The team of scientists sailed out of Tokyo on Monday. They will spend 10 days testing the waters of northeastern Japan. On Friday, they approached to about 5 kilometers of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. The team members are collecting water and marine species from various depths and taking soil from the seabed. They're aiming to find out whether the release of radioactive materials is still affecting the environment and whether there have been any further leaks. Ken Butler leads the Americans on the team. He says they want to shed light on the medium and long-term effects of the accident using the technologies of both the U.S. and Japan. The scientists will be taking samples at various locations until next Thursday in hopes of getting answers. Yoichiro Tateiwa, NHK World, off the coast of Fukushima.
And Yoichiro will have more on this in next week's edition of Nuclear Watch.